Serifs originated back in ancient Greece and Rome. Stonemasons who found that if they tried to carve a thick stroke, such as the letter I, there was a strong chance that the stone would split while they were carving. To prevent this from happening, they first carved short stoppers at the top and bottom of the intended stroke to prevent the stone from splitting beyond this point. These were the beginnings of serifs. Serifs have been around a very long time. However, they're not always the best type of font to choose. So when should you choose a serif and when should you choose a sans serif? Let's take a look at a couple of park signs. One is in a serif font and the other is in a sans serif font. Sans serifs have an immediacy that's hard to ignore. Signs such as these have far more impact when set in sans serif, which can be seen on the left, than they would in a serif font, which is on the right. They're also much easier to read from a distance. This is why road signs are typically set in sans serif typefaces. Check it out the next time you're traveling down the road. So would you ever use a serif font? Of course! After all, they've been around for thousands of years. Let's look at some long body copy. Here's an excerpt from the Shakespearean play Hamlet. The body of type on the top, a serif font, is much easier on the eye than the one on the bottom, a sans serif font. Because the serifs form horizontal lines above and below each character, serif fonts are much easier to read in large quantities. The serifs guide the reader along each line. Text that requires sustained reading on a wide measure is almost always set in a serif font, whether it's in a book, a magazine, or a newspaper. Let's take a look at a couple of storefronts. These store signs look okay, but they could be better. The computer repair store chose fonts that may have looked attractive in the catalog, but they don't fit the purpose for the store. These fonts are old-fashioned. They convey an entirely wrong message for a business that claims to be operating in a high-tech industry. The handmade furniture store chose a font that's commonly seen on car radiator grills. It speaks of cars rather than hand-tooling and individual attention. Now let's look at both of these revised. The computer store now uses a font whose clean lines and unfussy approach speaks of competence and reliability. But the font is just quirky enough to show that it's decidedly modern. The tail on the Y and the compressed S lend this an up-to-date quality. The handmade furniture store now looks like the sort of place where care is taken, where design matters, and where quality will be more important than the mere cost. Look at this attorneys at law sign. This is just too casual. Would you trust this firm to represent you in a court of law? Probably not. This revised sign speaks of reliability and trustworthiness. Now this is a law firm that can get the job done. This bug spray can is done in Times New Roman. Times New Roman is a great font, but this just isn't a great use for it. Now one spray from this can in your home will certainly be bug-free. The use of stencil font suggests military strength, and the choice of black and yellow is reminiscent of nuclear warnings. Both of these things make us think of killing power, which is what this product needs. Now there's nothing technically wrong with the burger bar lettering on this building. It displays the name of the restaurant clearly. But does it look like the kind of place where you'd go for a satisfying meal? Let's look at it in a different way. Now it's using plump, juicy lettering to convey the meatiness of its product. Check out the lettering for McDonald's, Burger King, or Wendy's, and you'll see fat, thick lettering. There's a lot to think about when choosing type, isn't there? When you're faced with the task of choosing the right font for a project, ask yourself these 3 questions. Is it readable? Does it fit the design? Does it have something to do with the creative message I'm trying to convey? There's a lot more to learn about typography and choosing the correct font. For now, just keep it simple and remember, as a designer, there are always exceptions to every rule.